So a berceuse is a lullaby, and you want the experience of playing this piece to be as soothing and calming for you as it is for your audience. Right? So in the end, what you're going to just go for is connected notes, smooth and legato. Okay? You don't want anything to sort of jump out at you. Probably a fairly delicate tone. But the challenge here, I think, for me, is to keep the long lines going at this slow tempo. So the way I would practice this, what I find is most effective, is to start by simply subdividing the rhythm in the bow. And what I mean by that is you're going to think eighth notes, and your bow is going to play all eighth notes, but with the correct bowing. So there are 4 eighth notes in the first note, or 4 eighth notes could fit in the first note. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and the same thing for the next note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I'm just thinking sort of mathematically here, how many eighth notes could I fit in to whatever the printed rhythm is? All right, and to start with, I'm actually not gonna go for tremendously exciting. I'm gonna make each of these, kind of consistent length, consistent amount of bow. Right? Just going for the clarity. And I'm trying to get sort of a baseline understanding of how much bow do I need to play each of these notes. If I go this way for 4, and I go this way for 4, and then 3, and then 2, like where do I end up in the bow? So I'm getting a sense of that to start with. But then once I've got that down, and I know the rhythm, I'm consistent with it, then I'm going to start actually varying how big each of these chunks is. All right, and according to how I want my phrase to be shaped, and what notes are leading to others and which are coming away. So for example, the first 2 notes, I might start out with a little bit of bow, grow to here, or something like that. Maybe I'll try it a different way. I'll try lots, coming away, growing. All right, and what this is showing me is to make these different shapes, how much bow do I need really to do that? And does it work? Right? Where do I need to be in the bow? So first thing I would do is just experiment around with a bunch of different versions. Okay. Whatever. There's no one true way to do this. But generally, however much bow you end one note with, the next note should start with about that same amount of bow. So you wouldn't want to do this. Little bow, bigger, little... Oops, sorry. Let's try that again. Little bow, bigger, little bow, bigger, little bow. Right, because it just starts to sound like... and things stick out. So you want to see how you can connect one note to the other, and that is done by using the same amount of bow at the beginning of the new note as how much you ended the last bow with. All right. Experiment around with it, try different phrase shapes, and then the idea is to keep that same bow distribution, little more, lots, and less. And that's what's going to get you a phrase, basically. All right, so I'd go through the whole piece doing it that way, just to get a feel for my bow distribution. And then the only other really thing that I like to do in this piece, and this is totally, again, matter of personal taste. Since you repeat the whole thing, right? You get to the end, and almost the end, and go back to the beginning and do the whole thing again. The risk of that is that it could get very boring for your audience, especially because it's a slow piece. So if you do the same exact thing again, not so interesting. So I like to think of different ways to make the second time different. And certainly you could do different phrasing on the second. You could, have your phrase shapes lead to different notes. That would be one approach. Dynamics. You could, first time you could go through pretty full tone. Second time, a much gentler sound quality. That would be a way to have your second time be different from the first and to give it some interest. The way I really like, though, and this, don't feel like you have to do this, but the first time I play all in first position. Okay, and second time I play all on the D string. So I'm just going to show you what the fingering would be if you wanted to do that. Don't feel that you have to. So I'd start in fourth position. Go up to my harmonic, back to fourth position. Staying there for a sec. Now, shift to fourth finger. Going to do a 4 replace 1 shift. And open D. Back to fourth position. Fourth position. Stay there for a second. And here we shift to first finger. Let me just show you that one again. Okay, now extend from here. This is extended third. Now up to your harmonic. Fourth position. And still in fourth. And for this last note, you could really put any finger on it that you wanted to. Okay? Then up to your harmonic. Your arms down so you don't break them. And then to that you're done. Okay? But you want to suspend that last note. Obviously your audience is sleeping by now, so you don't want to suddenly jolt them from their slumber. Alright, so some things to think about. That practice technique of subdividing the eighth notes, always good when you're working on bow distribution and phrasing. Then you've got some different ways to think about how you can do the second time, the repeat, different from the first time. And then your very last note. Okay.